everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today for a fantastic day of food, because it is a what I eat in a day, and you guys know how much I love to film these, but I haven't been doing them that frequently lately, and I really want to get back onto it because as autumn has hit, so is all the comfort food, so is my favourite time of year when it comes to eating is autumn and winter, and I have so many recipes I want to share, so many days of fantastic food that I want to just give out to all of you guys. So today is no exception. This morning I had yogurt and berries, nothing too exciting, kind of like a staple for me, especially when I have a busy morning. I needed to do my yoga, I wanted to pop to the supermarket, I had emails and editing to do, so I wanted a quick breakfast, but still something quite substantial. Not as good as porridge, but definitely substantial, so I'm going to insert that now. Today's breakfast is quite a typical one for me. I've just got in from the school run and I want something, but I don't want to put a lot of effort in. So I'm just going to have some fat-free Greek honey yogurt, which again, you guys have seen me have a ton of times. Sometimes I get fat-free, sometimes I get the full fat. It just depends what mood I'm in when I'm shopping, if I'm trying to be good or I'm trying to be conscious. But I also have some jeweled raspberries that I'm going to give a rinse and pop in, and on top of that I am going to have some of my favourite fruit. I feel like apart from oranges, blackberries are my favourite fruit. I keep trying to get a hold of more autumnal toppings like fig, but every time I go to Tesco, for some reason, figs are out of stock, so I want to try them as well. I've not tried fig before, so this is quite typical for me, with a sprinkling of demerara sugar, just to give a bit of texture and a bit of caramelly flavour. Feel free to skip on that should you want to. And I've literally just got back from Tesco, and I plan tonight to make a salt and pepper chicken, but it's going to be a teensy bit healthier for you guys that are on WW, or that you're just kind of being careful in general, because we're not going to be using thigh or drumstick or wing. We're going to be using a skinless chicken breast, which I feel like when you get this kind of dish from a takeaway, 9 times out of 10 it's a much fattier cut of the chicken, and I want to kind of try and see if I can get it a little bit healthier. I mean, we're still going to use olive oil to fry it in, it's still going to be done in the wok, but I feel like where you can use cuts of meat that are a little bit more point friendly, they will make your points go further. So we're having salt and pepper chicken, which is great for takeaways, it's great for kids, it's great for getting everyone something they enjoy on the table. And I don't know what we're having it with. I'm kind of a bit bored of chips and rice. I've been having that a lot frequently, so I think I'm going to whip up some oregano and garlic potatoes, which probably don't sound like they would go with salt and pepper chicken, because normally you would have rice, noodles or chips, but actually I'm really craving having something a little bit different. And again, these are really hearty and delicious, ideal for the autumn weather. And for lunch I'm having a Middle Eastern dish which is called Fasulia, which is a lamb tomato garlic stew, which I have done in a what I eat in a day, showing you how I make it from scratch. I'll link that above, but it's a Middle Eastern dish, one from my heritage, and one that I absolutely adore to both eat and cook. And I made a batch of it last night and I put some away in the fridge, knowing that today I would be on it. So I'm going to have that with some bread and some yogurt. It's going to be a really delicious day, guys. So give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and let's get on with the day. Here is my lunch, and what I love about these IKEA lidded glass Tupperwares is that I can make batches of stew or whatever, and I can heat them up straight in. The only thing I do struggle with is they are so airtight that I struggle to get them off, but I always get there in the end. Now, this is a really substantial portion of this. I would say this is probably more of a dinner serving as opposed to lunch, but the majority of this is actually the sauce, and there's about 2 to 3 pieces of meat in here. So even though it's done with lamb, which is quite a fatty cut of meat, I would say for this amount of sauce, because of the minimal amount of meat in there, it's about 3 points. Honestly, not more than that, because the meat is the only thing apart from the olive oil that you need to factor into this whole stew. So I'm going to heat that up about 2.5 to 3 minutes. I'm going to team it with some Greek yogurt. Feel free to make a tzatziki out of this with garlic, lemon, a bit of cucumber, but I'm just going to have it plain as is traditional in the Middle East. And I might dip in a little bit of bread. I mean, to be honest, I should do, because again I'm trying to up my calories because I'm working out. So I'm going to pop one of these in. For those of you that are interested, these are 5 points a serving. They come up on 6 on the app, but when you weigh them, the serving only equates to 5 points. So make sure that you are weighing out your flatbreads, guys. Halfway through its cooking time, I'm going to transfer it from the Tupperware into the bowl that I'm going to eat it out of, and this just ensures that while it's cooking, it cooks completely evenly. You do not, I mean, I definitely could eat this cold, Me and my dad actually really love to eat marrow cold, which some of my family absolutely detest, but we love it. So I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world if it's cold, but I do like to heat it all through. And there you have it, guys, the rich stew. This basically contains cannellini beans, chopped tomatoes, stock, a ton of garlic, onions, and it is just so simple but so delicious and so comforting. A pure and true Middle Eastern dish. I'm going to pop my bread on the side and I'm going to give myself a nice healthy dollop of yogurt. Feel free to use fat-free yogurt, guys. This is what I have in, so I'm going to use it, and I'm going to give myself a nice healthy blob of that. And of course, as you guys know, no meal in my house is truly complete without a trusty Coke Zero. Just about to head out on the school run, so I thought I would start getting things ready for when I get home to make dinner, so that I can come home, have my coffee, my afternoon snack, and I can get on with making the salt and pepper chicken. So it's the spice infused oil that we use to cook the chicken in, and then of course there's the chicken marinade and then the veg. So we have a red bell pepper here, some spring onion, a green chilli that I'm going to de-seed. I have some cornflour here. It's really important, do not skip on this. We also have some diced onion that I prepared, the skinless chicken breast, of course we have salt and pepper, and we have a very specific spice blend in this pot here which we're going to infuse into our oil. It's going to make it a scented and perfumed oil for us to cook our chicken into. And then I have a healthy amount here of Chinese 5 spice, which is basically a blend of Chinese herbs and spices that give us that really authentic flavour that we're looking for. Just before I head out, I think it makes sense to perfume my oil now. So again, I have that very specific blend of herbs and spices. And as I'm cooking this in a wok, I need to be quite generous with the olive oil. From a rather cold and chilly school run, which calls for a hot coffee along with a cupcake. Now, granted, this isn't the type of cupcake I would be eating if I was trying to lose weight, guys. I'm not going to lie. This is a sticky toffee pudding cupcake with a creme mousseline icing, which basically is a homemade custard that is whipped up with butter into an icing. You'll find it on a lot of donuts, eclairs, things like that. In a lot of patisseries, and it's delicious with a treacle sauce in between and in the middle. It's amazing. I don't know how many points these are. I mean, I did make them myself, and I probably could work it out, and I will try to give you a thereabouts in the description box along with the recipe. But this isn't the type of thing I'd be eating if I was trying to be calorie conscious, because it's just quite high. You can get lots of cupcakes that are a bit more point friendly. Definitely do that, but I'm gonna have myself a treat. So I'm gonna have this, and then we'll get on with making dinner. So now my vegetables are prepared, and that was chilli that I de-seeded, red bell pepper, and the spring onions. I'm now going to turn my attention to cutting up my chicken into bite-sized pieces. I'm actually going to do some bigger ones and some smaller ones just to give texture and variety. Chicken is diced into more manageable bite-sized pieces. It is back into my bowl, and I'm going to add some spices now. So I'm going to add a nice generous amount of sea salt. After all, this is salt and pepper chicken. And I'm also going to add a lovely sprinkling of coarse black pepper as well. And at this point, I'm going to add my Chinese 5 spice, which is going to be both infused in the oil, as you saw before, but also in the marinating of the chicken. And we're going to give that a quick stir together. And then I'm going to, and the recipe doesn't call for this traditionally, but I like to mix things up a little bit and do what I feel would complement really well and give it my own little spin. So once I've coated this chicken as amply as I can, sorry, Harris is upstairs, honestly, I always wonder what he's doing. I'm going to sprinkle it with a dash of fresh lime juice as well, which is not only going to tenderize this drier cut of chicken breast, but also it's going to bring out flavour and intensify it and make it that much more tangy. I have my potatoes here. These are just British baby potatoes, nothing too special about them, but I love the size, and I also love the fact that I don't need to peel these when I cook them. So I'm going to get a nice generous amount, because this is going to be a little bit more than a side dish, although Andrew might choose to opt to have rice as well. I'm going to cut these into golden cubes or even coins. It really doesn't matter, as long as they're nice and diced. so they can cook through. And again, feel free to peel these. I really don't see the need. I think they're quite rustic the way they are. The potatoes have been cut in no real fashion, but I can assure you they will taste amazing nevertheless. So I'm popping them into my oven dish, and then I'm going to sprinkle on top a really, again, generous helping of sea salt and pepper, along with some dried oregano, mince up some fresh garlic and olive oil, and it's going to be so simple but so delicious. I'm going to mince a clove of garlic straight in, and you'll be surprised to learn that there's no garlic in the actual marinade of salt and pepper chicken, which really does surprise me. I thought garlic was in everything, but it appears not, and I checked a few different recipes as well, so it's quite typical. But we're going to have garlic in our potato, so fellow garlic fiends like me, do not worry. And the best way to get all of this infused is to just get in there with your hands. We're now going to coat the chicken, and I found that the best way to do this is to get a tray, get it flat, get majority of the corn flour in the base of the tray and reserve a little bit for areas that don't get covered at the top. And then piece by piece, just lower each piece of chicken into the corn flour. And this is a real way to get to grips with the size of your chicken as well. Like, if some are quite big at this point, you can still cut them down. Quarters way cooked, I'm going to transfer it to this bowl and then get the rest of the chicken in, because it's quite a large portion, and then I'll cook the veggies in the same oil and return the chicken back into it. Was so nice. It was very spicy, but I guess that's owing to all the chili that I put in. And when I think about it, when I do get it from the chippy, it is always really spicy, but it was so aromatic, so flavorful, and such a nice take on something that would normally be a donor point value, because we're using a less fatty cut of chicken. It worked out that much more point friendly. Of course, you have to factor in the oil, but when you divide it on the portions, which the portion I did was for about 6 to 8 people at least, then it's absolutely fine, because we've squirreled 3 to 4 portions away in the freezer, which is fantastic. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give it a like and check out the description box down below for recipes and links, and the link to my Amazon store, which shows you a lot of my kitchen supplies and what I use, the books and things like that. And I'll see you in my next one.